Good afternoon, everybody. Robert Weichelt here for the More Listings Mastermind. We have another episode that I think is going to blow your socks off. I think there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of changes in our industry, and having been around for a while, I've seen a few things, and I have a nose for some things that are coming up. And I've got some guests today that'll who are going to be sharing what's kind of happened in their space. We've got Rida Sharaf with USRES and ResNet. We've got Wendy Keefe with REO Network, and we have Stephanie C. with NADP, formerly known as REOMAC, former board member, been involved a long time, but also an actual active Florida REO broker. She's going to keep us posted on what's happening on the East Coast. So the default market explained, opportunities, risks, and your next move. We meet every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can join us live via Zoom at morenowlistings.com. I'm going to go ahead and share our screen here. Basically, who am I? I'm the host of the More Listings Mastermind, but I'm also the founder of San Diego REO Partners, located here, and you guessed it, San Diego. I work the San Diego County market from we're the beginning of Orange County, Camp Pendleton, all the way down to the Mexican border, all the way down out to El Centro, kind of right before it goes down the hill. So that's a little bit about me. I do coach, train, and mentor agents all over the country. I've had the great pleasure of training a whole bunch of agents. The last market we experienced, I've been in the business since 1986, and I call it the glue stick era. Back in the early 90s, we'd run out to take a pitch, take photos of the property. We'd run to 1 hour photo and we'd wait there and impatiently, of course, that we'd run back to the office, get out the typewriter, the legal size paper, and the old glue stick. We'd glue stick those photos down to the addendum. We'd finish up our BPO. They're like 2 inches thick, each one of them. We'd run down to FedEx. Barely make it on time and they get out. Oh my gosh, that was an everyday thing. Obviously, fast forward to the early 2000s when it reared its ugly head again. It was more task oriented. We were getting tasks to do a task. We were just inundated, and we'll talk a little bit about the platforms that are out there right now and relevant. I was approved with over 44 different REO and BPO companies. The reason why I bring that up is because a lot of asset management companies, they're the ones disseminating those tasks out to the agents. I scored a 1% with Freddie Mac. 1% means that you are the top of the class. 10% means you're fired. So they really took their scoring. The whole industry, guys, is all about scoring. So I think that the biggest thing we need to make sure is we're doing all those things. But enough about me. Let's talk about what's the ideal REO agent. You're going to go to a lot of the platforms. They're going to say you need 5 years experience, 3 years of REO. And you're going to go, wait a second. I've been in the business 3 years. I have no REO experience. That's okay. They're going to reach out to you. The asset managers are going to reach out to you. You've got to make sure that they know who you are. We're going to talk about that. You got to understand how to speak REO. That's important. And you got to learn how to implement and follow systems. So the ideal REO agent doesn't necessarily need to follow the guidelines. You just need to be relevant and somebody they can turn to as the expert in that market. So don't be discouraged. If you're brand new in this business, don't be discouraged. We can still get you in. We just need to make sure you know what you're doing. So with that said, some of the tools, the 6 steps to REO success, basically, I like to call it. Number 1, you've got to have an REO resume. You need to register with the different banks, asset management companies. You need to start doing REO and BPO portals. You need to make sure that they know who you are. Again, there's Equator, there's ResNet, who we have on today, and there's multiple others, but we need to make sure they know who you are. You need to complete a rockstar BPO, guys. You need to do a great BPO. It's your calling card. Using the BPO to get listings, leverage those listings to get assignments. There's a lot of moving parts in REO. I got news for you. If you've ever done any property management, you'll know what I'm saying. But you need to understand that when you get the assignment cradle to grave, you need to understand all that works. Cash for keys, relocation assistance, preserving the integrity of that property, and of course, property preservation, accounting, offer desk. There's a lot of moving parts. So I encourage you to reach out to me. I'd love to walk you through how that works. But before I do that, I want to tell you my REO story. And I'm sure we all have our REO story. This is a Freddie Mac listing up in Spring Valley, San Diego, California, Spring Valley, Dictionary Hill. For anybody who knows Dictionary Hill, I don't even know how these homes are be able to be built on these homes. They're straight up. I literally going to this assignment, I walked up, I drove up. I tried to drive up and I'm in a car. I didn't feel comfortable. I thought my car was going to literally go down the hill. So I parked down the street. I walked up and I was out of breath. This is 20 years ago. I was out of breath and I was thinking, wait a second. And I get up to this property and I see this bus. I'm thinking, how in the world did they get a bus? I could barely walk up this driveway and there's a bus up. But to tell you the story is I needed to figure out a solution because I knew that bus couldn't stay there. I called my contractor. What are we going to do? We can't tow it out of there. We can't air flight it out. It's too expensive. So my contractor there in the blue shirt with his hands in his pocket, he said, well, let's do this. Let's cut this baby up into bite-sized pieces and get it on out of there. We had to think outside the bus. But why I tell you this story is because we had to come to our asset manager with a solution to a problem we're presenting. Not just, hey, there's a bus. What do you want to do? No, it's, hey, there's a bus. Here's some solutions. What works best for you? Well, that's halfway through. We cut this thing up into bite-sized pieces and they took it out of there very, very gingerly. And we thought outside the bus. So you're going to have things that come up. So we need to be a solution-oriented realtor, resource. What's going on in your city, in the county, and what's going on as it relates to the REO space. It's a different world. So that's my REO story. I love telling it. It brings me back there. So we're going to go ahead and get everybody muted, Carla. And then let's go here. Okay, good. So with that said, that's just my little REO take. I just wanted to share that with you. But before we do, I'd like to bring up Rida. And Rida, I'd like you to welcome to the More Listings Mastermind. How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, so good. So excited to be here and talk with you guys today. It's a wonderful day in Southern California where I'm at. And like I said, very excited to be here and talk about all things REO.
Well, you know what? I look forward to it. We've done a lot of training, certifications. We've had the pleasure of meeting multiple times, doing lots of great things. But let's tell the audience, who's Rida?
Well, I'm Rida Sharaf. I grew up in Dana Point, California, which was very blessed to be here. Spent a lot of time at the beach, and luckily, I don't live too far away from where I grew up, and so my kids, I'm towing them to the beach every weekend, so that's very exciting. And just running around doing sports when I'm not working. But when it comes to work, I went to college in Arizona, and while I was out there. There was some cheap real estate, and I was a ambitious college kid, so I bought a condo, and I think it was under $50,000 at the time. But I immediately just fell in love with real estate, and I really wanted to do it, and so sold that, moved back to California, somehow found my way in escrow. So I took a wrong turn somewhere because I really wanted to make a lot of money, but didn't end up an agent or a loan broker, went into escrow and did that successfully for a while. And then I was introduced to the owner of USRES and ResNet and had the opportunity to go work there. And that was right around March of 2007. So I was in for a wallop right after that, went through that, been there ever since. And so right now, I'm a chief default officer for USRES and ResNet. So anything that has to do with default distressed assets, I get my paws on. Yeah, that's me.
I love it. I love it. So let's expand just a real quick. USRES, explain the difference between USRES and res.net.
Yes. So USRES, and I'll give you guys the quick elevator story about the history. USRES at one point in time was a local real estate company, little brokerage, you could say. They started working, and I'm sure a lot of the people that are listening to this podcast can relate. You know, they were working with the local neighborhoods. They were working with local builders. They started working with regional banks, but they were completing, little REO asset manager, or not asset manager, just working as agents, and then doing valuations on the side. They kind of graduated to starting to do asset management, built up a panel, and built a software for themselves. And as the story goes, they were pitching a potential asset management client on the services. And the potential client thought to themselves, well, I think we could do this if we just had the system that you guys are working on. And so there was the birth of ResNet, which is a platform, and you could say it's a case management platform for REO properties specifically, management and liquidation of those properties. So it's really a marketplace for agents, vendors, clients, asset managers, investors. The cross section of clients has really changed too over the years. We still have servicers, we still have those traditional servicers. But now we work with a lot of private money investors, a lot of, I don't like to call it hard money, but, creative money, bridge loans, things like that. We're seeing a lot of cross section there, but that's who ResNet is. So really simply put, USRES is a service and ResNet is the technology.
Got it. I know a lot of people get that confused, and I wanted to clarify. That's awesome. And stick around. We're going to have some great questions for you. Let's get to our next guest, Wendy Keefe. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Robert.
Oh, you know what? It's absolutely my pleasure. You're so much fun to chat with every time we go to these conferences, and you're there with the team. And it's just, let's just dive into it. Who's Wendy Keefe?
Who is Wendy? I know that's a deep question. Anyways, my name is Wendy Keefe again. My middle name is Amber, if you want to know. I have been running REO Network. Gosh, it's been 23 years, I think now I've been running the site. So I've seen it grow. And our sister company is Clear Capital. And but we run the site separately. So that's why I like Rida's story about ResNet and USRES. It's kind of the same little organic, the way it kind of things evolved same way. But yeah, I run REO Network, and I like to CrossFit in the morning. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm kind of closer to Napa area. And yeah, I think that's not much
Cool.
too about me.
CrossFit. Carla and I just got off a 2-year RV travel road trip across the country, and we just started going back to the gym. Is the reason why I bring that up.
Yeah.
And CrossFit is I dig it. I dig CrossFit. So that's great. So
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's dive into REO Network. Tell us a
Sure.
little bit about REO Network specifically.
Sure. It's a free online database of REO brokers and vendors all across the United States. If you kind of think of it like an online Yellow Pages, if we still know what that is, Yellow Pages of REO brokers all across the United States, and it's very simple. You go to the site, you type in a zip code of where you need someone or a city, and it pops up all the brokers and agents that we've pre-screened everybody for REO experience. And you pick up the phone or send them an email. I found you on REO Network. And my job is to go out and to promote the site and make sure asset managers, banks, hedge funds. Rita kind of hit the nail on the head about seeing more of these hard money lenders and investment companies. And I'm noticing that too with REO Network, reaching out to brokers and agents. So it's a free for brokers and agents to sign up on it. We do have an option to pay where your profile is seen with more exposure on there. But I'm proud that that you can get on there for free if you want on there, and it's free for asset managers to search too.
I love it. I love it. I've been my profile's been on there for a long time.
Yes.
I literally go to one place when I need somebody, because asset managers call me all the time. Who do you have in Dover, Delaware was the most recent.
Right.
I go to REO Network, I type in Dover, Delaware, bam. Oh, you know what? I know that person. There you go.
Right.
It's just a nice place to go. And they're fully vetted and wonderful folks. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and Clear Capital, what involvement do you personally have with Clear Capital, or is it just a same team, same company? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, they are sister companies because they were started by the same owners. And what's funny is REO Network was actually started first in 1999, and then out of that database of brokers and agents, kind of started evolve the Clear Capital company, which originally it was called BPO Tracker. So a long, long time ago, and then they changed the name to Clear Capital. And I don't have a lot of involvement other than I'm happy to help brokers and agents that might need help getting their account set up on there because they strictly, send out BPO work, property inspections, property data collections, and things like that. And then, if their customer needs a listing agent, they tell them go search on REO Network for that.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I've done a lot of business with Clear Capital,
Thank you.
from the inspections, drive up to go take a picture of this home, make sure it still exists, especially after the fires. We did a lot of
Right.
those.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great. Well, Wendy, thank you. Stick around. We're
Yes.
gonna have some
Okay.
great questions for you. Stephanie C. I could go on and on and on about how awesome you are, but why don't you tell the folks that are tuning in who's Stephanie C?
Um, so just like Wendy, that's a deep question. That's that's a lot. That's more for this hour. But thanks for having me today.
Thanks for
It's
being here.
always a pleasure to speak with you on these types of calls. I'm Stephanie C. My husband and I own Results Real Estate in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. So we are on, our heightened hurricane alert for another month or so, and then everybody breathes easy for a while. But I have been, so even though I'm 29 years old and have been doing this for 25 years, I remember glue sticks and overnight boxes. And after the glue stick era, you forgot the thermal fax era.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Right in somewhere between overnighting everything and being able to use portals, like Clear Capital, like ResNet, like Equator. Um, there was the thermal fax, like that was a step up that we didn't
Wow.
have to. Problem was after 5 years in storage, everything was just solid colored papers, from especially the heat in Florida. So Rita knows what I'm talking about. He's laughing. Pull that file and it's like, well, there's nothing here. Um, so I have been selling real estate. I've been in real estate for about 25 years. Started in REO immediately. My husband has been involved in REO as far back as the FDIC and saving, and savings and loan. So he's been doing it a long time. We handle residential and commercial, and I handle residential and commercial retail as well, because I know your podcast is about more listings. And if you are an REO broker, which I am to the core, you that can't be the only thing you do.
Sure.
So you really have to have a well-rounded business. But I pretty much love everything about REO. There's a few things I don't care for, but like everybody. But it is something I really love to do. It's a puzzle. A lot of them are puzzles. None of them are especially cut and dry, super easy, nothing like that. And so yeah, I really like the challenge of it.
You know what I like is I'm working with a corporate seller. I'm more of a no nonsense numbers. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Here we go. There's
Yeah.
no emotional,
No.
that carpet and that linoleum. There's not a lot of that. It's here you go. Bottom line, give me the highest and best price, shortest amount of time. Moving on. Here we go. So I, like you, enjoy that portion of it. So that's great. Well, I'm certainly excited to have you guys all on. One last thing, Stephanie, don't want to forget is talk to me a little bit about NADP.
Okay, I thought you were going to say baking for a second because you kept
Well,
bringing
we're
that
going to
up.
talk about baking next.
Yeah, so if anybody sees me on social media, you're going to see more cookies and cakes than you're going to see real estate. I know for social media it's supposed to be like half and half, but my kitchen usually takes over on the weekends if I'm lucky enough. It's the way I sort of decompress. But I'm very involved in NADP, which was formerly known as RioMac. and I was a sitting board member for 8 years. Currently, I am chair of the membership committee. And NADP, there's lots of organizations. You'll see lots of organizations, lots of conferences, everything. They all have something different. For me, NADP is a more like boutique, close knit. The conferences, you really get to meet everybody. You don't get lost in the shuffle as some events can get larger. Uh, really focused on education and outreach and giving people in our industry a chance to network from all parts of the industry. So you will see from the tech companies to default servicers and hedge funds to brokers to title and escrow, attorneys. So it's a really great group, and I'm constantly learning from them.
I agree. It's something I've been attending those conferences for quite some time, and we always have a good time. There's always the good folks. It's always good. It's like it literally is like a high school reunion. It's like, oh my God, Rita, Wendy, everybody. Oh, it's how you been? Because we've jumped on Zoom calls for the last however many 5-6 years, but when we see somebody in person that we haven't seen in a while, it's like, oh my God, how's it going? And it's like very rarely do you talk about business. You talk about what are you baking these days, Stephanie? So it's really good. I encourage you, and we'll have Carta drop in the chat box the NADP events that are coming up. I encourage you to go. We've got Palm Springs coming up in spring. It's just there's so many wonderful educational networking opportunities. So I certainly thank you for all you do. And it's always a pleasure seeing you at the conference. You just get checked in, and you've got literally 30 different committees that you're a part of, and you get involved. And I encourage anybody that's listening to this, get involved. That's the best way to squeeze as much juice out of what you're doing, is get involved. So Stephanie, thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And if I could just add, for the brokers that might be listening to your podcast or watching after the fact, especially those that want to get into REO, they are now doing a HUD class every month, which comes in super handy since HUD is a little different as far as, how the workflow goes and how offers go. And so that's really good. And that's free for all.
Yeah, it's great training. They do it once a month. Eric runs that, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and then we also have Coffee with the Board, which is always educational and a nice way to market. Eric does a great job hosting those, goes around the horn, gives you a chance to get in front of some of the players in the business. So yeah, there's a lot of great events. Default Pro, and we'll go ahead and share that link in the profile. So I'm going to get right to the questions. I've got some powerful, impactful questions that I've wanted to ask. And Rita, I'll go to you first. What are the biggest opportunities agents should be looking for with this market shift?
Well, I think the number one opportunity that's probably timely right now is helping distressed borrowers. I think you're starting to see the pressure mount, you're starting to see the squeeze, and while I think the rates have been coming down a little bit, which is great and helps some people out, I think, there's a population of borrowers that really need help. And I was having a personal conversation with a friend of mine at my son's flag football league, and they were having some issues with their house, and it was distressing to hear. And I think we take it for granted as professionals that we understand the avenues that could be used to mitigate these issues, right? And for somebody who's not involved in real estate, they don't know, right? And so in this conversation with this person, the first thing I said was like, have you talked to your mortgager? Have you called your mortgage company? Have you called your servicer? Have you had conversations with them about what your options are? And they're like, no, we didn't really know. And, we got some letters, but we didn't understand them. You, the real estate agent, are the professional in this circumstance. And if they know, and I'm not even talking about nationals. I'm talking about your neighborhood, right? If you're farming a neighborhood, that's what they need you for. And I think there's going to be a lot of need for that coming up soon. And again, options, although we did see some ending to loss mitigation, options on October 1st, that's might be the contributor of a little bit more REO volume to come. I think mortgage servicers still have programs. So if you could facilitate, my opinion is that if you can facilitate and help a homeowner do that, you have a client for life. Like, forget about REO. This person is going to be connected to you because you guided them, you showed them, you cared about them. And so I personally think that is the immediate low-hanging fruit opportunity, right? To start developing those relationships. And even I think through that, you will create the relationship with the servicer, right? Because you're going to represent the buyer or the borrower or the homeowner. So I think that's probably, to me, what really is highlighted as something that somebody could do tomorrow.
And you know what? Us as agents, it's almost like our duty. We should be reaching out to our fellow neighbors in our communities, reaching out to them. And, there's a lot of notice of defaults being filed, lots of notice of trustees. There's a lot of folks in distress. I feel it's our obligation to reach out to them and at least guide them, not come in there like with commission breath, but come in there with contribution. Like, I want to help. Let's explore your options. And Fannie Mae, know your options. A lot of times they don't know their options. They bury their head in the sand and hope it goes away. That doesn't really work usually. So, but us agents can reach out to the notice of defaults, the notice of trustees, and reach out to them and see what can we do? What are your options? Now, I know a lot of the folks that are reaching out to try to figure out their options. Keeping their home may not be an option. So then you can be there to help them sell their home before foreclosure. So a pre-foreclosure, help them salvage that equity that they have and then move on to another scenario, because we don't want to go to foreclosure. Now, I don't wish foreclosure on anyone, but the banks need help as well. So there's pre and post foreclosure opportunities for agents. And again, it's like I said, I don't want anyone to lose their home. I want to be a resource for them. Oftentimes when I reach out to the notice of defaults, folks that are just beginning stages of having some issues, they all want to keep their home, but not all of them can. And if they know I'm a resource, then they feel confident talking to me. In the event they get that, there's just no way you can keep your home, they're going to call me and they know they're going to get the best service possible. So any agents that are listening to this, I recommend that you reach out to those folks. Sure, you want to call the FSBOs and expireds, but the pre-foreclosure folks, that also helps you position for what's to come, working with the loss mitigation folks that oftentimes turn into the asset managers. So there's some relationship building there, and REO is a relationship game. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Wendy, question for you. And Rita, thank you for that. Question for you. Speaking of agents preparing themselves, what are some of the requirements or skills that asset management companies that you work with, what are they looking for in an agent, that, like, when they look at someone's profile, what are they looking for?
Well, I love that you posted the picture of the bus, because it was what immediately I thought, you're a problem solver. You already have contractors on hand, you have vendors that you can reach out to. You really have to be ready for those things. And I know sometimes on like a profile, like REO Network has little biographies that people can write things. And one of the things they'll look for is if you've mentioned on there that I already have contractors in place, vendors, people to do lawn services, debris removal. You do want to have those things on hand. You want to have some policies or procedures in place to, okay, I've got a property where a tree has fallen through it. Okay, what do I do? Because I'm telling you, every property you get with REO is going to have an issue. So you got to be ready to have either some sort of plan in place or not freak out or ghost them when you don't want this listing anymore because there's too many problems. That's REO. So you better be ready with those things in place. How am I going to make sure I got, paid on time, or that I turn my receipts in? You got to have your own. I realize we've got ResNet, but you got to have your own in-house way of tracking things too, to remind yourself, hey, I need to get back to so and so, because not all of the listings go through the portals. I touched on this earlier, that I'm noticing more and more of these hedge funds and investment companies using REO Network to find brokers and agents to list with, but they don't use the platforms. So you have to have your own type of in-house system to remind yourself to give them updates of the property. Did I get reimbursed for this? Different things like that, and what's going on with that. So, I mean, they look that you're a problem solver. You've got things in place ready for that REO, and you've got to be that person that says, I'll take care of it. I hate to say it, but you almost can't like pass up on an REO no matter how crappy it is, because they may not call you again for another property. So you got to be very like, I'm happy to take it. I will get it done, because you will get it done, and because someone's going to get it done. So why not have it be you? So you got to get it done. So they want to make sure they work with problem solvers that are easy to work with, and you make their job easier as the asset manager.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. If an asset manager was right on the call, they'd say that, make my life easier.
Yes.
Don't give me problems, give me solutions. And that is what it's all about. And what's funny is I went the last time around, I had agents that, I want to get into the REO business. And they went into it thinking it was like what I'm used to, helping buyers and sellers, traditional. And they're like, they just asked me to do this, this, this. And they're like blown away. That's what it's all about. It's about going the extra mile. And I noticed also is the properties, they always start so far away from your actual market. I mean, literally, I have listings all over in every single rural property near San Diego, none in proper, but it's all like an hour away.
Right.
You need to understand, when you help that asset manager out with that property in Campo, if you know where Campo is in San Diego, it's like the furthest before you fall off the earth. And it's when you help them with that, you've got a raving fan forever. They're going to remember you when the good stuff comes too.
Oh, they want to give you more then. They want to give you more. About a year ago, I even called Stephanie, because I know she has commercial experience, and an asset manager had come to me and said, do you know anybody who has commercial experience? And it was in her area. And Stephanie was so like, yeah, I'll take care of, yes, whatever they need, I'll take care of it. And it makes me want to find more work for her. It makes me want to give her more, as much as I can to her, because knowing that she just made it so easy, it's one of the best ways to get more work.
Amen to that. I tell you, it's that's what it's all about, making it all easy and just making it happen. You've got to do things, mostly you got to show what you're about. You show you're about. I had a property in Chula Vista one time, and Chula Vista was famous. I mean, they had a lot of foreclosures, a lot of new construction, a lot of people lost their home. There was a sign, they did a full like news broadcast from this one particular street where there was like 14 for sale signs, bank owned properties. You took a picture of the whole street and it's all these for sale signs. But Chula Vista has this thing where if your grass is dead at all anywhere, they start fining the current owner, which is now the bank. So it's up to us agents to know what's going on with the city, the county. We reached out to them. They said that they give you a serious per diem, a fine per day until it's fixed. So for instance, the grass, if it's dead in any area, go get green paint, paint it, stop the bleeding, and go get those fines and let's get it solved. So those are the things you need to know. And I call it having an REO survival kit. So there's things you're going to need to know, and that's great. So I'm glad you brought that. We could probably go about all the different stories for on and on, right, Stephanie? We could. So question, Stephanie, for you, I have a question. How can agents position themselves as the go-to expert in the distressed homeowner or working with asset managers? What, in your opinion, what would you tell the agent that wants to get into the REO space, working with, again, the notice of default, the pre-foreclosure, or the post-foreclosure space? What advice would you give them?
Oh, why did I get the hard question? See, Wendy's laughing. And thank you, Wendy, for the compliment. I get the hard question. What would I tell them? Number one, know your market. If you want to get into default, don't say I can cover 8 counties unless A, you really can. Um, and you know everything about those 8 counties. Because just like you, Robert, you'll get something that could be rural or very micro. You could have a real like micro location. Um, for example, I was like they're almost like a micro neighborhood. I was showing a regular residential client, a retail client, condos this weekend, and walking 7 blocks through downtown St. Pete, she noticed how almost like micro neighborhoods, like this one feels more suburb, and you were only a few blocks. I mean, we walked it, no big deal. So when it comes to dealing with REO and giving the best service to your client, you do have to know those, whether it's a micro economy or if it is, uh, a county ordinance or a city ordinance. My biggest thing to remind them of, which everybody has said, don't go to your client with a problem. Go to them with the problem and at least 2 possible solutions. Here's 2 ideas I have that we could solve this, because you can't not tell your client. You tell your client everything. But here's the issue we're having. Here are the 2 or 3 ways I've come up with to fix it. And you have to know that, and you have to be able to get ahead of that. So another example is every state is different, but in my area, code violations are a big thing. Just like Robert, you're talking about the dead lawn, we have code violations, and we're a super lien state. So those code violations become a very large title issue, and then they hop. So if Bank of America, for example, has a code violation on a house, it will cross it will almost it's almost like cross collateralization. It will tie up every Bank of America asset in the county until that there's a resolution to that violation. So when you get these properties in and you're looking at them, the first thing you're doing is checking, are there any violations? But you really need to identify what could become one, because it slows down the process. So I would tell agents to really remember, when you're looking at these houses, when you want to get into this, welcome to your new household. I run several households. I don't own them all, but I run them all. And so I know whether it's safe to turn utilities on or not. I know whether we're going to have a problem because of the experience I've had with that municipality. And I can bring that to my clients and tell them what you need to do, what you can't wait to do, and what might not be as urgent. And you treat them all. I know it sounds very exhausting, but the good news is you pay somebody else to clean them and cut the grass. But you do almost treat them all like your own. So not to be archaic, as Wendy points out, like when you're tracking everything, when you're tracking to make sure you got your money back, when you're tracking to make sure you actually submitted your bills, when you're tracking to make sure you went out and took pictures of the property, because not everybody's on a tasking system anymore, sending you that, hey, weekly task. Oh, I've got to go take pictures. Of all things, I actually have a spreadsheet. Don't everybody fall out of your chair at once. I also use legal pads, which will probably freak you out too. I've got stacks of, they're everywhere. I could show you my desk, but it's scary. See, there you go. All right. But okay. Like, okay, spreadsheet. All right. So, and it's multiple pages, and it's every property, when it came into my inventory, who the power company is, who the water company is, do I do it? Do my clients do it? Who cuts the lawn? Who cuts my pool? Is there an HOA? Did it need vacant property registration? When's the last time we were there to take pictures? And any notes, like the bus has to be chopped up into 30 pieces so we can get it off the property. Any notes like that really are pertinent to the ongoing part of that file. And yes, we use a regular CRM, and we have back office software and all of that. But this is just that thing you carry around, that helpful thing. And as archaic as it sounds, it's with me everywhere I go and answers 99% of the questions I get. And it's just super easy to share with anybody on your team. So it's really about knowing how to service your clients well. So don't overextend yourself in the beginning. Really find that sweet spot for you. Find that geographic area where you're the most comfortable, most confident in knowing rules and regs or know where to get the answers to them, and focus there and branch out.
Awesome.
Because there's a lot.
That's coming from a very knowledgeable REO broker. So Stephanie, thank you. It's at the end of the day, checklists can save a lot of money. I'm going to save everybody on the call $33,000. You ready? We were expanding, as you can imagine. It was Carl and I, and then it was Carl and I and a nephew, and then we added our niece, and then we added people that actually were working like real employees that weren't related to us. But we exhausted the family, and then we started growing. And then we had an accounting department, which you need an accounting department once you have a lot of assets. We're averaging about 385 assets at a time. So there's a lot of moving parts. Well, how I'm going to save you money is I'm going to show you what not to do. You're going to learn from my mistakes. We had our accounting department got so big, we brought somebody in that was already on our team to come and help out the accounting department. We gave her own little private office off the accounting area. She put all her stuff that was on her desk in one of those, the stackable inbox things. And she moved to her new desk and started getting work done. And we started getting a lot of calls from termite companies saying, hey, we haven't been paid back on these properties. $33,000 worth of termite reports that were past the 30 days, so we couldn't get reimbursed. They were in her stack that she never got a chance to unpack her desk. So make sure you unpack your desk. My point is, you need to have systems in place. And I'm saying that because those are the stories I really hate to see you learn on your own. That is something that I always like to tell somebody just getting into the business. So with that said, I digress. I do have a rapid fire round of questions about the default. They're super easy. So Rita, let's start with you. Biggest myth about the default market. What are you hearing? What are some things that people say about the default market that maybe is not happening?
I guess the biggest one is that the default market is dead. I mean, that's kind of I've heard that around. I think even at the bottom, even the pandemic days, we still had REO properties. We still were working. We were still doing things. And I guess the other thing is that foreclosure, as a objective financial tool is not pejorative, right? It's just a tool. And so we just provide, like you kind of mentioned, Robert, a service. So yeah, I think we're going to see kind of a return to more normalization, which means more volume. So
I happen to agree with you. And I think the agents that are listening to this, just look into your personal market, where you specialize in, become a student of that market, follow the notice of defaults, follow that stuff. I mean, again, we don't want anyone to lose their home, but follow that, pay attention to it. And that's happening. So here's the rapid fire question, because I wanted to ask you that, Rita. And this is for all three of you. And we can start with you, Stephanie. How's that? The question that I have is, what's the fastest way to build trust with whether it be a default distressed homeowner or an asset manager? What's the quickest way to build that trust and that reputation as a resource when there's services needed?
Be authentic. I know it might sound oversimplified, but really be authentic and have effective communication. I used to be in the beginning, okay, I can't answer you till I have the answer. Like I had to have the answer. And the problem with that is crickets. Nobody likes crickets. If I ask you a question, I want an answer. I don't expect you to answer me right this second. If it's 10 o'clock at night, I don't expect an answer till tomorrow. But if I messaged you this morning and it's 4:45 and I don't have an answer, I tend to get a little like persnickety. I get a little. So I have learned just effective communication. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer yet. I'm working on getting that for you. And you don't always have to say I'm sorry. It's not about apologizing, but if depending on what the situation is, but I'm working on getting an answer to your question. I hope to have it back to you by the end of the day, give a realistic response. So really it comes down to having great communication and being your authentic self.
I love it. And that's, most of us forget about that. We're like trying too hard. Take a deep breath and do the right thing. Here we go.
I remind everybody there's still a little bit of Jersey in this girl. So, yeah, see, everybody laughs. It is, you can take the girl out of Jersey. You'll never take Jersey out of the girl. It really is just be your authentic self.
I love it. Wendy, what about you? What do you think agents can do to be that resource, whether it be an asset manager? What's the resource? What can they do? What can agents do to build that relationship to be a resource for that asset manager?
I think for the asset manager, you want that asset manager to feel like they are your one and only customer and client, the one and only client. I also agree with Stephanie that if an asset manager comes to me and has a question, I do get back to them the same way, going, "Hey, I want to reassure you, I'm working on it. I'm still working on this." Just because, yeah, I would get worried too if I didn't hear an answer or anything for a while. But you want that client to feel like they are your one and only and best. It's that client is above your family, your health. They don't need to know what's going on in the background, okay? But you are taking care of it and you are happy to do it. So I will say, though, I have heard feedback from asset managers that they are much more understanding than they used to be if you need to be in the hospital or if you're on vacation. So it used to be you get things yanked. I remember a poor broker had twins in the hospital and she didn't want her asset manager to know. So she had all her paperwork right next to her while she had these twins. And I've heard people having heart surgery and all that. I'm like, those situations, just let the asset manager know I'm gonna get back to you. It might take, but have people in place to help you too. You want to have a backup, to have people, you have a team to help you in case something happens too. But again, I would say make that asset manager feel like they are your one and only client.
What's interesting, you said about being away on vacation. A lot of the asset management companies, mostly the BPO companies I work with, let us know when you're on vacation.
Yes.
So they won't send you the assets or they won't expect it, because the last thing you want to do is accept it knowing you're going on vacation, because what happens when you go on vacation, that's when you're the busiest ever in the world. Right. So just be upfront, say, listen, I'm going to be gone from this time to this time. Most agents don't want to say anything because they'll think that, I'm not there for them when they need me. We all go on vacations, or at least we all should. So that's the communication part. So thank you. That was great. Rida, same question for you. What do you think? What would you like to say to an agent that's looking to break in to the REO space? How can they be a resource for, in your opinion?
Well, break into the REO space. I just got 3 letters for you: BPOs, 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 right? That's what's going to get you on the map. That's how we at USRES have found so many agents. It's just, look at this BPO. It's incredible. This person really did a great job. Put them on the list, right? Mm-hmm. Put them on the list. Let's get them there. I think as far as when you get a listing, and I think we all alluded to this during this whole podcast, is that you have to align yourself, cadence, and workflow with the asset manager, right? You're working with a corporate entity. They probably have a meeting every Wednesday to talk about all the offers they have. So you as an agent should realize this and then support that asset manager. So I know that Tuesday night, I'm going to get them as much information as I can, because I know Wednesday they're going to have this meeting. And it is, very different, right, from the retail agent. And this is something that, is even more glaring when we talk about it. The retail agent, your primary goal is marketing. It's marketing. You want to go out and market the property. When you get into working with corporate entities, that's only a part of it. There's this whole other process and procedure part that these boxes have to get checked. You have to be able to do that. And it is like a machine. You're going to have your own little asset management, business that you're going back and forth and doing what you're doing. So yeah, I think that understanding what is important to the asset management manager, the timing of things is so important to be, right there. And they'll love you because they know, well, Stephanie's going to get me. I know without asking, I know Stephanie's going to get me the update that I need for tomorrow's meeting. So.
And I'll tell you what, that's how Stephanie gets so much business. So that's and that's how you do that. So first of all, I appreciate all three of you jumping on. As we wrap this up, I just have one question for one last question. I call it my mic drop question. And we can pick whoever would like to go first. If every agent took just one bold step starting today to get into the REO space or the default market, what would that step be? Stephanie, let's start with you. Do you have a one thing that somebody should do, like maybe get into NADP, get a part of that? Any one step? What do you think that first step would be?
I got two good ones. All right. So yes.
You can go two. Let's go two.
Okay. So yes, I would join NADP, or at least start to get involved and learn about it and what it has to offer, because we do offer training. But the second thing to do, sign up for BPOs. Before you can sell an REO, you better know how to do a BPO.
Can you imagine?
Don't just let some computer program do it for you. I mean, you really have to learn to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need to do. I'm sorry. You have to learn how to do it. And if you want to do commercial work, you have to sign up for those too.
Yep.
BPOs.
Amen. And that is what Rida said earlier. BPO. Mm-hmm. That is your audition. When you do a BPO and you hit it out of the park, oh yeah, I found somebody that's going to do really good for me. I'm going to put them in this space. When they do a BPO that's absolutely terrible, they go in the circular file because they're going to make me work too hard as an asset manager. So BPO is great. I love it. NADP. Carla put the link in the chat box for NADP. Wendy, same question for you. What's the one thing that you'd recommend an agent do?
Since Stephanie gave two, I want to give two. I was going to say, sign up for REO Network. All right. There's a free application on the site. Just make sure you click on the one that's for brokers and agents. And two, email me, because I have made a little list of things that other brokers and agents have told me what they did to get started in REO. I just kind of put this list out. There really isn't one certain way to do it. And I just kind of put this little list together, and I'm happy to send that to anybody that emails me.
I love it. Those are two great things. And Rida, two things you'd like to tell an agent listening to this call that they can do right now to get headed in the right direction of the default space.
Well, this is not one of the two things, but definitely do everything that Stephanie and Wendy are saying. Do that. I would say the first thing is just educate yourself, right? There's so much information now and it's ubiquitous, right? You could just find it everywhere. So educate yourself and find avenues to educate yourself. Like Stephanie for the ResNet platform, there is a standard membership. It's free. There's no cost. And once you get in as a standard member, there's classes and education that you can pursue. And then you can make an intelligent decision, right? Of saying, oh, this is for me. I feel like I have the bandwidth, the capacity, or, ooh, maybe I need to educate myself a little bit more. And that's okay. But, just one final thought. 2007 to 2011, when we had that huge REO tsunami that came, that's a while ago. Right. And so when I looked at the experience that Robert had of 5 years in real estate and 3 years in REO, I don't know how you're going to get REO experience, unless you really, really dig in And I mean, and positively, that old, that, that credit crisis that we had and that foreclosure surge, not a lot of those agents. There are some, and I saw them at 5 Star recently. There are some, but there's a lot of new faces. So there is a lot of opportunity. There is no gatekeeping, I think, going on. There is a definite need for brokers and quality agents and problem solvers. So I definitely think that there's opportunity there.
Well, you know what? You guys all are rock stars. I appreciate you, Stephanie. It's always a pleasure. Wendy, wow, fantastic. I put NADP link in the chat box. We put the REO network in the chat box. And we'll go ahead and add the ResNet one as well. You guys, Wendy, Stephanie, thank you for being my guest today on the More Listings Mastermind. And remember, each Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, you can go to morenowlistings.com. My name is Robert Weichelt with the More Listings Mastermind. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much and have a great day.